getting straight into the video, I'm just first going to show you how to factorize an equation. We have taken here an equation which is x square minus 3x minus 10 is equal to 0, and we are going to factorize this equation and find out the roots of this equation. We call them roots, which means we have to find the value of x which solves for both which works for this quadratic equation. That means when we substitute that value of x into this equation, we should get the answer as 0. So this method, as I told you in the previous video, if you haven't watched it, you must click the link above and see it as soon as possible. I've explained factorization in quite detail over there, but just to go over the steps once again, we take the product of a and c. So we can see that a here is 1 because there was no number written here, and c is negative 10. So we take the product of a and c, which is equal to 1 into negative 10. So we are looking for factors of this number 10. So what are the factors of this number? First, let us write the factors. So 1 is 1 into 10, that gives us 10. The second is 2 into 5, that gives us that also gives us 10, and then we come back to the same factors, which are 5 into 2 and 10 into 1. So no point writing them. So these are the two options that we have available. So 1 plus 10 gives us 11, which is not equal to minus 3. 1 minus 10 gives us minus 9, which is again not equal to 3. But 2 plus 5 gives us 7, which is not 3, and 2 minus 5 gives us minus 3. So that is the number that we have here. So it is clear that the factors that we have to take are 2 and 5. So we'll split the middle term into these two terms. So the way we can do that is x square plus 2x minus 5x minus 10 equals to 0. Or we could have also written as at x square minus 5x plus 2x minus 10 is equal to 0, because whatever way we take it, plus 2 and minus 5 is going to give us minus 3, which is the number here. So x square plus 2x minus 5x minus 10 is equal to 0. Now we take the first two terms and take a common term out of this. So very clearly it can be seen that the only common term is x, and what we are left with inside the bracket is x plus 2. And here in these two terms, what we have common is negative 5. So we taking negative 5 as common. We are again negative 5x divided by negative 5 leaves us with x, and negative 10 divided by negative 5 leaves us with plus 2. So that is what we are going to do here. And here in these two terms, we see that x plus 2 is constant or common. So taking x plus 2 as common, we are left with x here and negative 5 here. So that is equal to 0. So it is very clear that if a number is a product of two numbers and it equals 0, then that means either this number is 0 or maybe this number is 0. So let's try and solve that. I'll use a different color now. So let's say that this means that either x plus 2 is equal to 0, or we can say that x minus 5 is equal to 0. Now if x plus 2 is equal to 0, then subtracting 2 from both sides of the equation, we are left with x is equal to negative 2, or in this equation we'll add 5 to both sides of the equation, so we'll be left with x is equal to 5. So these are the roots of the equation. We can see two values of x which will satisfy the equation. So substituting those values of x here, let us see if it works or not. So if x is negative 2, the square of negative 2 is positive 4. If x is negative 2, so negative 2 into negative 3 gives us positive 6. So 4 plus 6 is 10, and 10 minus 10 is 0. So yes, negative 2 is a factor, is a root of the equation or a solution for the equation. The second solution that we see is 5. So substituting 5 into this equation, we get 5 square is equal to 25, and 5 times 3 is 15, 25 minus 15 gives us 10, and 10 minus 10 again is 0, so that means 5 is also a solution for the equation. So it was pretty easy. By splitting the middle term, and we could factorize the equation and find the values of x. But what if the equation is something like this, where it is x square minus 7x plus 5 is equal to 0? Now using the same method that we did before, here also the value of a is 1, the value of c is positive 5, so 1 into 5 gives us 5, and we have to find factors of 5 and split the middle term into sum of those two factors. So the only factors of 5 are 1 and 5. There are no other factors, but if we add 1 and 5 we get 6, which is not 7, and if we subtract 1 and 5 we get 4 or negative 4, which is again not 7. So how do we solve this equation, where it is not possible to split the 5 into two different terms which will add up to negative 7? Well, it can add up if we have some values of x which are non-integer. So as you know that in between any two integers there are an infinite set of rational numbers, and it is impossible for us to find out any two rational numbers which will add up to give us negative 7. So the only way we can do that is by using this completing the square method. As you can see, I have written it here, completing the square. So what we do in this is, there are some steps involved. So the first step is, you must follow me along very carefully because this is important. The first step is to divide the whole equation by a. So let me write it also for you. Divide equation by a. Now we say a here is in this case is equal to 1. I hope you remember the standard form of any quadratic equation, which is ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. So this is what I mean by a, b and c. So here a is equal to 1, so if we divide the whole equation by 1 it remains unchanged, it remains the same. The second step is take c to other side. In other words, we'll just leave the x's on one side and take the c to the other side. So taking c to the other side, we'll have to subtract both sides of the equation by 5. So we get x square minus 7x plus 5 minus 5 is equal to 0 minus 5, and we are left with x square minus 7x is equal to negative 5. Now what is completing the square? Now here again I will take you to one fact checking. We know we have learned algebra, and one of the identities that we've seen was that a minus b whole square gives us a square minus 2ab plus b square. Now we have to bring the left side of the equation as a square of a minus b whole square, because this is a negative number, negative 7, that means it has to be a minus b whole square. But if negative 7x is equal to 2ab, where a we know is equal to 1, so what will b be equal to? B in that case will be negative 7 over 2, right? Because a is x, so dividing both sides by 2x we get negative 7 over 2. So if we will just take the square of this and add it to both sides of the equation. So the square of that is x square minus 7x plus negative 7 over 2 whole square is equal to negative 5 plus negative 7 over 2 whole square. So solving that, we get x square minus 7x Now negative 7 becomes, is the square of negative 7 becomes plus 49. So we get plus 49 over the square of 2 is 4. So plus 49 over 4 gives us minus 5 plus 49 over 4. So this we know is, since b here we found out was negative 7 over 2, so we get this as x minus 7 over 2 whole square gives us, so we are going to solve for this now. So 4 times 5 is negative 20, negative 20 plus 49 over 4, or we can say that x minus 7 over 2 whole square gives us 29 over 4. Now if x minus 7 over 2 whole square is 29 over 4, then obviously taking square root of both sides of the equation, I'll continue to write here now. So x minus 7 over 2 gives us the square root of 29 over 4, or using the calculator I found out that 29 over 4 is 7.25. So we take the square of 7.25, which gives us the answer as 2.69. Now you should understand that this value can both be positive and negative, positive or negative, because the square of 2.6 positive 2.69 is also going to give us 7.25, and the square of negative 2.69 is also going to give us 7.25. So it could be both positive or negative. So we can rewrite this equation as x minus 7 over 2. I'll convert it into decimals since we have taken decimals here. So x minus 3.5 should give us positive 2.69, or to find out the second value of x, we can say that x minus 3.5 should give us negative 2.69. Now adding 3.5 to both sides of the equation, we get x is equal to 2.69 plus 3.5 will give us 6.19, or we can say that x has another value, which is again by adding 3.5 to both sides of the equation, and in this case it is going to be 0.81. So these are the two values of x for which this equation should hold true. Now I've taken, you can take out your calculators, put these values of x into this equation, and you'll find out that you'll get the answer as 0. Actually the square root of 7.25 is 2.69. I've taken, it's actually a very large number, but for the sake of simplicity I've taken it only up to 2 decimal places, and in case you put, and this is how we got the values up to 2 decimal places. Now you'll find an answer that it probably may not give you fully 0, but it will be very close to 0, and you'll find out that if we put in the whole value of 2.69 something something something, you'll definitely get the answer of this equation as 0. So that's the method of completing the square. We went over the equation very fast, but we have probably understood how to do it. So I'll just to give you an example, and so that you become a little more clear about it, I'm going to go over one more equation with you. So here again, remembering the equation ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. The first step that we remember is divide the whole equation by a, which is equal to 2. So dividing the whole equation by 2, we get as x square plus 15 over 2x plus 14 is equal to 0. Second step was to take c to the other side of the equation. So subtracting 14 from both sides of the equation, we are left with x square plus 15 over 2x is equal to negative 14. The third step was to add a number which was half of this number. The half of 15 over 2 is 15 over 4, so we are going to add the square of that. So 15 over 2x plus the square of 15 over 4 has to be added to this side of the equation, and since we are doing that, we have to add the same to this side of the equation also. 15 over 4 square, and this can be rewritten as x. Now since the middle term is positive here, so this has to be a plus b whole square, which is x plus 15 over 4 whole square. That should give us negative 14 plus 225 upon 16, or we can say that x plus 15 over 4 gives us negative 14 times negative 16 will give us negative 224 plus 225 over 16, or 1 upon 16. Sorry, I forgot the square here. So taking the square root of both the sides, I'll change the color. X plus 15 over 4 should give us either plus 1 over 4, or it could be minus 1 upon 4. So again, splitting it into two parts, we get x plus 15 over 4 is equal to 1 over 4. Or we can say that x plus 15 over 4 should give us negative 1 over 4. Now if we add, or if we subtract 15 over 4 from both sides of the equation, we are left with x is equal to 1 minus 15 will give us negative 14. Negative 14 by 4 will give us negative 3.5. Or we can say that subtracting 15 over 4 from both sides of the equation, we should get negative 16 over 4, or we can say that x is equal to negative 4. So putting these values of x in this equation, we'll find that the answer is going to be 0. Let's try and substitute negative 4 into this. So the square of negative 4 is 16. 16 times 2 is 32. The square 15 times negative 4 is going to be negative 60, and we have got plus 28 here. Now 32 minus 60 is going to give us negative 28, and negative 28 plus 28 is equal to 0. So that's how we complete the square, and we are going to learn more in the coming videos. So just give a thumbs up to this video, and if you want to subscribe to the channel, there is our subscribe button. Just click on that and you'll subscribe to it. And I recommend that you should watch this video the next time, and while YouTube also recommends this video on the right. So just let me know how it is, and see you in the next video. Bye.